So this video is part one of turning this jacket into this bear. And I'm using a pattern that I got from the Pay It Forward YouTube channel, where she kindly gives away a free pattern so that you can make this memory bear. I'll put a link in the description if you want to have a look at the pattern yourself. I have cut the jacket along some of the seams, like kind of the side seams, I think. Those were the arms. I've got two different pieces for that. This I think was the back. So you can see I've got plenty of pieces of the jacket left if I need them. It said dry clean only, so I did a little test piece which went quite raggedy, but actually the fabric was fine. So I've washed them because I got it from a charity shop, and if it's dry clean only, I'm not sure whether they would have dry cleaned it to give it away. So cover all bases, make sure it's nice and clean. I've also bought, as recommended by Lisa from Pay It Forward, some medium weight woven interfacing, and so it's this lovely soft, I don't know if it's cotton, but it's a kind of sheer woven fabric, and it's got glue on one side. It's really nice actually. So I've got that, so that's going to be what I line the pattern pieces with. And I've also got some old denim. I really like this colour, and I'm hoping that it will make some nice sort of contrasting colour for the paws. I'm going to decide, when I get there, but that's my plan at the moment. I'm going to lay the pattern pieces on it lengthways, because I think that's where the grain is, because it doesn't stretch as much that way. I mean, to be fair, it's fairly similar, to be honest. And I've also had a look at the grain of this, and it stretches, it's probably about the same actually. So there's no specific grain to that as far as I can tell. And the reason I wanted to use this jacket is that the fabric is quite unusual, the pattern on it, and I kind of thought it may represent something that's roughly done with hand woven fabric, so maybe I can use hand woven fabric in the future. But I wanted to try it with something a bit less time consuming and precious. Lisa just ironed a big chunk of this on, but I really don't want to waste it. So what I'm going to do, I think, is to lay my pattern piece on, draw around it in something permanent like a biro, cut it out but not exactly to the line, then iron it on to the fabric, and then cut right up to the line or on the line, so that I've got a nice neat piece and the lining fabric is cut exactly where the jacket fabric is cut. Hopefully I can get everything out of these three pieces, but we will see. So I've just got this little glass mat just to protect the table from the pen, and I've laid out some of the interfacing. So what I'm going to do is, I've got this biro, and I have just tested that it is waterproof, because actually I thought, well, if you've got the black lines, if it gets wet at any point, you don't want it to suddenly bleed. So you might want to test that if you're doing something similar. So I've got it along the grain line. I'm avoiding the selvage. So let's get drawing round, and I want to draw as close as possible to the line. And I'm not sure what these little markings mean yet. I think it's where you're matching something else up, but I'll make sure I draw those on. Oops. Yeah, I also need to just make sure I'm drawing it on the right side. Now that's slipped a bit, which is always helpful. It's not the easiest to draw on, but I suppose if it doesn't look exactly like the bear that she's done, I will probably never know. And I probably should have done this the other way up, but to make the most of the fabric, but never mind. Okay. Maybe pinning it would be better, because it is moving a little bit. Okay, try and correct a bit. Okay, is that going to be helpful? I think that'll be fine. I haven't left much room there, but I'm only going to leave a little bit of a gap, so should be fine. And with the joint, I'm just going to make a hole with the pen and then try and draw that hole in the right place. Okay. So I've now drawn all the shapes onto the interfacing and it's time to start cutting them all out. I've cut out all the shapes out of the lining, the interfacing, and I was hoping I would fit them on the shapes that I'd already cut, but unfortunately there wasn't enough. I was quite lucky though in that I've undone some of the rest of the jacket, and I think I have actually got enough fabric that the shapes will fit on, because I didn't really want the shapes to go over a seam. So it's a bit touch and go, but I've managed to squeeze them on. So what I'm going to need to do is these extra bits of fabric here, I'm going to need to wash. Hopefully they don't shrink too much. I have ironed on all the interfacing pieces and I've cut out all of the shapes for all of the body parts of the bear. I can't say there wasn't some mistakes, there definitely was. I misplaced one of these arm pieces in the interfacing. So I cut out a new one and I ironed it on, realised I'd ironed it on the wrong side, but then I also realised I'd cut out the arm that was facing the wrong way, so that was a bit of an error. And I did think that I might run out of the big enough pieces to cut out another one, but luckily I found a little scrap that was just about big enough. And yes, the fabric does shrink when you wash it. The other thing I did that was a bit of a mistake was I caught some of this frayed edge under some of the kind of white bits, got caught underneath some of the interfacing. But when you feel it, it's not that obvious, and particularly from the outside. So yes, I've decided just to go with it and see what happens. Join me in the next video when I start sewing the pieces together and thinking about jointing.